I remember one of the first times I went to Kilby Court. I had already fallen in love with the venue. I would drive from 35 minutes away just to go to a show. I remember one night, it was a local band called the New Transit Direction, and they were just a fantastic rock band, and it was a really easy band to have fun dancing and singing along to. And I saw this kind of a nerdy-looking guy by the side of the stage just freaking out. He turned out to be Will Sartain. Over the years, I would regularly see him at Kilby Court, and he would attend all sorts of different kinds of shows. And it was clear that he loved Kilby Court just as much as I did or anybody else did at the time. And it was really cool to see him there, a lot, just enjoying the music. Then when the owner, Phil Sherburne, decided to sell Kilby, the Salt Lake scene was kind of worried what would happen to it. Would Kilby Court fall into the wrong hands, or would it just shut down altogether? Our fears were relieved when we found out Will was going to buy it along with his business partner, Lance Saunders. And I think everybody just knew that Kilby was still going to be one of the best all-ages venues in America. I wanted to talk to Will about his background in music and the purchase of Kilby Court and what it means to him in the Salt Lake community. I met up with him at Kilby Court and interviewed him on the stage.
Yeah, I started playing music when I was 10. I started playing the drums. My family's pretty musical. My dad has a master's in music, and my brother has been playing the drums since he was 8, and he's 7 years older than me. So just being around it all the time growing up, loved music. And by that time when I was like 16, I'd already been playing in bands, and we just didn't know what was next, you know.
And you hadn't discovered this place?
No.
Yeah, at that point?
No, not at all.
That's cool.
But that was in like 2000. That was like 16. So that was like 2000, 2001. So it was pretty early on after this place opened.
Phil was the first owner of Kilby, and so when did you find out Kilby Court was for sale, and what went through your head at that point?
Well, we bought the venue about 4 years ago. Phil came to us only and said, you know, I think that you guys would be the best people to take it over, and he just offered it for a certain price, and it was fair, and we did it.
Yeah, so Lance Saunders is you're the co-owner here.
Yeah, me and Lance.
Lance. I thought I heard himself call himself Lance.
Maybe he was using his accent.
Probably. I thought it was Lance for the longest time. Like, wait, I heard him say it Lance. Have I been screwing this up the whole time? And so, how did you your relationship start with him?
With Phil?
No, well,
or with Lance?
Well, it's first with Phil.
Oh, I met Phil because after I came to a bunch of shows, I just wanted to meet the owner, and we had met because I was playing shows here, and I told him I'd love to volunteer here, and he said we don't have volunteers, but if we ever need to hire someone, I'll keep you in mind. And a week later, I think his only employee stopped working here, and I just got thrown into the mix. I worked here like 6 nights in a row, like doing sound and door sometimes, and it was fun, and I just really wanted to do a good job because I cared about the place, and I don't know, I was very invested in it.
Yeah. And so Lance, how did he come into the picture?
So after I left, I worked here for about 3 years, and then I started my own company. And after about a year and a half, I really wanted to get a business partner because I just wanted to free up some time. So I talked to a couple people, and then I thought of Lance because he was such a hard worker, and he was a really nice guy, and I felt like he was a good person to represent me and obviously us. And it's been great. I think it's been, since 2007, so that's 5 years. 5 years now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 5 years? Jesus.
It's nuts. So what have been the positive aspects of running Kilby Court?
I think it goes in cycles. Like sometimes feels really fresh, and sometimes it doesn't. But ultimately, we're here to just provide a space that people can use if they can bring a handful of people, Mm-hmm. And I think it's good for anybody to have a space where they can go and feel like, they're doing something important and something they love and feel comfortable, I feel like it's a very comfortable place to be, and we try to make people feel good and welcome. And
so do you feel like Kilby Court definitely serves a need in the community?
I think so, yeah, for sure. I mean, we do 300 shows a year, so obviously we're doing something right.
Right.
Or somebody wants to use it.
Right. And with that in mind, what have been the struggles of doing this?
Honestly, I don't feel like there has been any struggles. The only struggles are, it's kind of a business where it just sort of breaks even. So there's not a lot of money in it, which is fine. But I've sort of built myself up to be able to do this, so it's really not too bad.
Kind of going back to how back in the day, like 2001, 2002, how do you feel like live local music has changed from back then, from when you were first discovering Kilby to your perspective now?
I think it's it's always changing. I think there's just new bands, and some people drop off and new people come, and I think people sort of get nostalgic sometimes, like there was a different era that was better or something, but really it's not. There's still good bands, and people stop playing, but other people start playing, and yeah, I think it's different, but I think there's always been like a folk element in Salt Lake. I think there's always been like a harder element. I think there's always been like an indie rock element, and I think those things sort of just like progress.
Do you feel like other communities would benefit from a place like Kilby Court?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, in what ways?
Just a place where the overhead is cheap, where people can make noise,
Right on. And so, thinking back to how you felt how we felt when we first came here. So now that you're in a place where you're running Kilby Court, is there anything that you want people to feel? You kind of touched on this already, but is there anything that you want people to feel when they leave here, or like bands that come here, especially touring bands?
Well, I think it's intimacy. It's very intimate. This place is small. It's very small. I don't know. You can't really get that anywhere else. You can see bands here that would play a much bigger place sometimes, and then they play here,
Right.
So you get a unique experience, I think, both sides.